Well, good day again. So here we are. It's the 2nd of February and lots of fun stuff going on at the moment as the fleet's approaching Cape Horn. You probably may have already seen, or if you haven't, a bit of a run through on the weather over the next 5 days leading into the Horn, because we had that fun yesterday with Gitana meeting up with Sterner and zipping past. He was doing 30 knots, Sterner's doing 8 knots. Interesting enough, we got a copy of the video from on board Gitana about 7 o'clock in the morning. They sent me a message on Instagram, and I didn't pick it up initially that early because I don't follow Instagram that much. But anyway, they sent me a copy of the video straight away. And then another fan sent me a link to that footage about, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning, but I missed that as well. I sort of saw it, but I didn't realise the ramifications of it. And it was actually Ada that picked it up yesterday afternoon, saw what was going on, quickly put the video together, which we shared. She let us share it onto the site, which was a lot of fun. So, and then the tweets there coming through from Sterner just saying how cool is that, so that was good. Some of the others in the fleet are pleading for wind, but careful what you wish for, because you are heading towards Cape Horn, and you'll see in a minute they're just sitting there not going anywhere really fast, but they're still moving, so that's the good news. And unbelievably, Penjuic and Translated still keep just plodding along. They're finding breeze, so the fleet is definitely separating now. And you've got a distinct two boats in the front of the pack and 2 boats down the back, Sterner and Explorer. And then you've got a mid-fleet that are all playing around, hodgepodge everywhere. So, and they're about to get hit with some big winds. We put them on a weather alert earlier this morning. They're going to get gusting, around 50 and so on. But it's a cool way to get it. It's a wind gradient rather than a big pressure system with swinging winds and confused seas and so on. Anyway, that's probably about it. So if you want to, because I was getting messages from people about concerns about this big storm that some of the other events are talking about, and my opinion is that it's just a typical Southern Ocean Cape Horn depression going through there. And yes, it's going to get windy, but it's not anything out of the ordinary. So, but if you're in an Ultim, yes, you take it easy, because one guy on a 100-foot trimaran, that's pretty awesome in its own right. So you don't want to take any chances, and he's doing an amazing job. He's got about 3-day lead or something, or I forget the distances, something like, is it 1,800 miles or something like that from the nearest competitor for him. So fun to watch that one. So straight into the tracker, and let's see what's happening here. So we've got that there. I've got to get on my tracker page, and here it is. So that's not today's weather, so I'll just zip that back there and push this up there. So you can see Explorer and Sterner, they're back on track. They're both headed north a little bit. When those big breezes, they were getting 45, 50s coming through for about 12 to 18 hours, but it's all fluffed off now. It's all gone, and they'd be back to sort of 25, gusting 35. So they're heading out to the east again, bound for Cape Horn. They'd be happy about that, and they're going to get a reasonable run. I'm interested. I haven't done this, so I'm going to do it right now. Sterner actually pulled away from Explorer quite a bit over those days. He had 300 miles now. At one stage, there were 180 miles. But now it's 300 miles. So Sterner's got a bit of a jump there. Hopefully Explorer will catch up a little later on. And I think we can do the weather together when we, no, maybe not. I'll just do a little weather grab on these two here. You can see there's a high pressure system, and that's the one that's affecting Sterner and Explorer. So if we just push this through, the weather they're likely to get is quite calm. And in fact, if Explorer's not careful, she's going to run out of breeze, but there's a bit of a push again. So the next couple of days, they got plenty of breeze. So they'll keep making average, 150, 180 miles, maybe even 200-mile days leading into it. So the next, so what are they doing? We've got 7.7 knots for Explorer, 95-mile day, because they went up and now they're back on track again. Sterner did 133-mile day doing 7.5 knots. so making reasonable time. So here's the big hole that we sort of thought most of them might fall into it, and that's exactly what's happened. So now Penduic and Translated have separated up the front. Evrika still moving, doing okay, 142 mile day and 6.5 knots. Outlaw not doing so good. They've got an absolute calm there, which suggests the graphic is pretty accurate, because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like Outlaw's right in the middle of that hole. 2.6 knots, 129 mile day. They'll be very frustrated. And the Spree to Keep, they're getting some breeze from somewhere, but it's looking like they're heading for the center of that little tiny deal. But they're still making 6.8 knots and still did 136 mile day, even though they're not headed in the right direction. You've got White Shadow there. They picked up a little bit. Just a minute ago, they were going a bit slower. So they've got 5.4 knots right now and 145 mile day. On the Hammer of Galliana with Secure, doing 5 knots, 136 mile day. So all of this lot here have gone very slow in the last 24 hours. If you're following the tweets of Maiden, they're pleading for wind, please. And they've got some. Oh, it's cool. They've kicked in a bit, 7.4 knots, and did 137 mile day. So again, they're all hanging in the fleet. 155 mile day for Helsinki, now doing 8 knots. So it looks like they've finally got the breeze just recently. Triana, 7.7, 177 mile day. So that's pretty good. And you'll see here, they always keep their course straight as a button, right? And that's a key element. You'll see Simon on Translated. He hates altering course. He just doesn't do it. They'll hold on a straight line. But it's amazing, because if you just look at the course of Neptune, this is how distinct it is. The course of Neptune compared to the course of Triana, dead straight. They just hold on the button. And, because that, if you straighten the line out, it's a lot further on. And that line was straighter, Neptune would be up here somewhere. It's part of their tactics. It's part of the key elements. Having said that, these guys have got to get around the waypoint there. So, they've got to work their way up, and it'll be the same with these as well. So we'll look at the weather in a minute. Anyway, Neptune, 8.4, 182, and Triana, 177, 7.7. So moving right along to way up front here, and how far is the break now between, let's just go midway between Translated and the rest of them to Helsinki. Okay, not that bad, 270 miles. It looks a lot longer than that. 270 miles, only a day and a half. So they're still in touch. They haven't bolted completely. It's just a visual impression, so that's not too bad. But they've certainly, prior to this, it was like 80 miles. Now it's 270. So Translated is currently doing 9.8 and a 223 mile day, when all the rest of them are doing 155. So you can see that's 80 miles in a day. And Penduic, 11 knots, 239. 239 versus 223. So Penduic is pulling out a bit on Translated, which they need to do. This was their big chance, I think most people would agree. By the time they got to Cape Horn, because of the differences in IRC performance and boat size, Penduic really needed big, powerful breezes, big rollicking oceans, all that sort of stuff. And then the power and waterline for the boat would have let it perform to its rating. But it's not been the case. So there's not a lot they can do about it. They're all obviously sailing really well, but it's the conditions, Some conditions favour different boats in different ways. Like Maiden's completely different boat than Translated. She's a downwind surfing flyer. Translated's a bit more of an all-rounder because of the displacement hull. And Penduic is just powerful if you can give it the weather it needs to keep going. So it's been a strange sort of leg in some ways, but very interesting. And it's great for the fleet. I have no problem with seeing all this happen, because if you've got a Swan being able to keep up with some of the flyer class boats in these situations and mixing it around, I mean, it's quite fascinating to watch. So what's happening for the weather in the next couple of days? In fact, I'll roll this through. They're getting closer and closer to Cape Horn. I think we didn't do the measure. I think it's about 900 miles now. What do we got? Yeah, 900 miles from Translated and Penduic to the Horn. Now, that would be 4.5, 5 days if they were big days.
So not that far away, but we'll take it out to 5 days and just see what it's all looking like. The guys here, we put them on a weather alert, and you'll see what's happening. There's a fair bit of breeze coming up from below them, from the southwest. I think you can. Is that the best scale? Yeah, I think it is, to show the best way across. So here we go. In the next 24 hours, you can see here Penduic and Translated, fantastic breeze. They just got this sort of northwesterly, going to push them along towards Cape Horn, and this puff here coming up from the southwest is going to meet the majority of the mid-pack fleet. So you can see, I can build this up one more time. You can see it coming through. Some of them, these 4 at the front, may just keep just ahead of it, but it's going to roll around. So this is how it's handling. You can see there, it's by this stage. Okay, so that's, hang on, we've already gone past the field, so it's a day and a bit. So they may just get out, but I put everyone on. We didn't give them a forecast. They always want a forecast to show where the centres are and they can make their tactical decisions. But we put them on an alert here to say that generally the whole fleet, from a set time over a period based on their course and speed, they may be affected by these breezes here, which is pushing up to low 30 forecast winds and gusting, up to 45, 50 knots. And it only lasts for a day, and then it's gone. So you can see it rolling through there, but generally the fleet will be over here by then. It'll be over here somewhere, and I'll just run on the tail edge of it. But certainly Evrika, Outlaw, the Spirit of Keep, and maybe these two, White Shadow and Galliana, will also get impacted by that solidly. So, but as I said, it's not as tight low pressure system, so the wind is basically holding direction, and it'll slowly increase, so the sea will build up to 6 or 7 knots, and it should be reasonably organized, not with a lot of cross sea and so on. So it should be reasonably manageable, and just some heavy weather in the Southern Ocean. So what's happening then with this big sucker over to the side here? You can see by the 4th, it's rolling over them. So even here, Penduic and Translated, so this is on the 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 2 days. They'll be 400 miles ahead. Okay, so if we pick this out to be about 400 miles, right, so they'll be around here somewhere. You can see the whole system is rotated above them. It's no concern at all. And that whole weather discussion on the previous post and live was to explain to people that this big storm they're all talking about is not as big as a lot of people think. This has only got 50 knots in it here. Maximum gusts is forecasting, 30, no more than high 30s, 40 and stuff, and then gusting, 50 and something like that. But for OGR, for our guys, they're going to be sitting right there or about there as it's happening. So if this forecast is correct, it rotates around them. So I'm not even concerned, but I'm watching this regularly to decide who gets any weather alerts or weather forecasts and suggested routing programs, either speed up, slow down, or not speed up, but if we think they could benefit by slowing down, we would. But you can see then straight away what happens is this pans out to a beautiful westerly airflow, and even the extreme stuff that was down with Penduic and Translated, it's leveling out. The extreme top end is disappearing, so they're going to still be getting 50 knots, but it's all behind them. And, in some ways, you couldn't ask for a better experience. So, and the guys at the back here will be following through quite nicely. Penduic and Translated, they're going to get a real push through there. So that's day 5, on the 5th rather. So that's, what do we got there on the 5th? That's 3 days ahead. So they'll be about 600 miles at that stage. So they're going to be just coming into here. And sea state then, so you can see, when this forecast comes through, they're going to be there. They'll probably be just behind the worst of it. The sea state shouldn't be too bad because it's blowing all the way through. So the big seas just follow through, but let's just see what the waves are suggesting here in this area. 6-7 meters, so not too bad. And I'll show you this on windy in a minute, just to explain and walk it through.
So they'll just be coming just behind it, and they are well and truly able to cope with that, and then it all disappears. Now that means that the mid fleet coming through could get just a no-brainer, no big dramas at all. This is going through to the 8th, all very benign. It's 6 days away, still nothing. So this is the 9th, still nothing. This is the 9th, and then there's a bit of a puff coming, which is below Cape Horn, coming up to meet it, but that's only an average puff. By then, even Explorer might be down there at that stage. So you couldn't ask for better. That's the bottom line there. Now, before we get off the map and look at the tracker, while it's fresh in your mind, this is windy, similar situation. I won't go through the whole lot again. There's Cape Horn. This position here is about where Penduic is at the moment, and the fleet is bogged down in this lighter spot here. And I just want to remember when we were a couple of days ahead, I'm just bouncing this ahead. That's the puff that's going to go through with the fleet very shortly. And if we just move this across, you can see it's 32, 34, 32, 34. Not a lot in it, but we've given them a weather alert to expect all of this stuff. And if I hit the gusts over here, you can see the gusts are 45, 46, 47, 40s into the possibly peaking out of the 50s. So, and that will roll through. Meanwhile, translated 9 and the rest of the fleet is pushing forward in that hole. So if I come off the gusts, just go to wind, you can see this hole we're referring to. No big deal on Sunday. There's just basically nothing happening down here. It's only 27 knots, 30 knots, just nothing. It could zip around there, no problem, but that's not where they are. So they come through, and then it slowly comes down to meet. But again, this is the big supercell, 35 knots. There's nothing through there. This is forecast wind. Gusts are going to be higher. And this is 1, 2, 3, there's 4. At that stage, there'll be 600 miles, and that 600 mile puts them in here. 35 knot forecast, 36 knots. That's where Penduic and Translated will be sitting. The rest of the fleet will be coming in on this lot. So nothing to be concerned about there either. And then it's basically all gone. It's basically dropping right off 30 knots going around Cape Horn. Now that's the forecast winds, and drop back to 17 really quickly. But gusts, if we go in here, you got 34 knots. We hit the gusts. This will be before they get there, 47, 48 knots, 40s. This is normal for we should call it normal, but it's not dramatic at all. This is the gust response, 43 knots. And waves, they should be around 6, 7 meters. They can handle that. You get 15 meter seas down here, but this is just typical stuff. And I think if I can quote the crews, they're all saying, "Oh, where's our storms?" I think everyone would be happy to go. I've got to be careful what I say, but quite nice going around Cape Horn in stormy weather. Kind of like. Anyway, I shouldn't say that, but that's how it works. Anyway, so back to the tracker now, and we'll just look at the leaderboard. Here we go. I've got to get the tracker on here. Boom. I go with that. The tracker should. No, that's not right. Hit that again. Yeah, the tracker's there. I've got to go on the tracker. The tracker's there. I want to see the leaderboard and see what the IRC is going. I'm going to forget it completely about line on us because you can see who's out the front. Okay, so translated 9 is currently 35 days, 2 hours. Triana, 35 days, 15 hours, so they're coming in behind that. Galiana, 36 days, 20 hours, so it's about a day behind Triana. And then White Shadow, 37, 17, down not too bad, it's about another day behind. Penduic is 37, 20. Neptune, 38. Maiden way down there now, 39. So Penduic is coming 5th. Neptune is coming 6th. Maiden, which isn't a rating boat for this sort of stuff, it's a flying boat. It was never done for IOR rating even. It's a surfing boat, but they haven't had the conditions, so they're paying the price for that now. And Evrika, 34 hours behind Maiden. And then Spread of Helsinki way down the back there, so they'll be bleeding a bit if they knew that, but they probably do. So that's it. I'll just come on here now and say good day. See if there's. Oh, you didn't see Windy. We're not seeing Windy, but we believe what you're saying. Oh, bugger. What did I do wrong there? Anyway, the best way to do that is, is have a look at the Windy explanation down the bottom. I don't want to go through that again and explain everything. Sorry. Unbelievable there is traffic, collision track with boats and solo challenge. Yeah, everyone's on AIS though, so but that's what happened with Gitana. They saw Sterner on the AIS and called him up, so all kind of good. Challenge Andre had to change track to avoid a collision with Penjuic. There you go, already through there. So, but that's all good. We get a chance to answer the Q&As from last week. I'm going to do it straight after this. Sorry about the delay on that one. I meant to do it yesterday, but there was a few things going on again. Good weather for the 40s. Yep, absolutely. You know all about it, Pat. You will have followed the GGR. So checking in Mississippi, Nigel Bart. Sorry, good evening. Still on the track. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what went wrong there. I don't think I need to. I'll just try and pull this up now and just show you what's going on here. Why is that not coming up? It's not coming up. There it is. No. Okay. So hopefully you've got the if you don't want to watch this, you can bugger off now. But for those that wanted to watch it on this feed, I'll just try and walk you through the Windy tracker again. I think you've got it there now. Okay, so what I was saying, if we come back here, there it is here. So this is about where Penjuic and Translated is now. They've got 20 knots. This is on current wind forecast. The rest of the fleet's in the hole here. And if we progress this forward, this is the puff that's coming up for the rest of the fleet. You can see it working its way up there. And the scope of that, this is forecast wind, it's 30, just one little patch of 35. So 33, 32, nothing really big and dramatic. But if we go into the gusts, if I hit the gust there, you can see gusting 46, 47, low 40s, and possibly even up to 50. So they're aware that's coming anyway. And it's not a tight system. It's just a constant southwesterly airflow that's going to pick up quite solidly for about 24 hours, and then it's gone. And some of the lead boats will sail out of that. They'll be ahead of it when it comes in. So that's okay. Then for the rest of them, coming across a Sunday, this is where the big storm was supposed to be. There's only 30 knots, no big storm. It's forecast wind. Gusts will be higher than that, of course, but it's not the big, huge number. You're getting a bit of a squeeze there. So you got 35s. You get really close, you got 40. And the gusts will really heap it up a bit. So you got 50 knots and sea state there. We know is 6 meters, 6 and a bit. But this is typical for this part of the world. So forget the superstorm. It's not. It's just another classic low pressure system in Drake Passage. And squeezing and compressing up against Cape Horn creates a blow through. And if you're down there, it's a lot of fun. So that's probably enough of that. And we will see you again tomorrow. We'll follow on with the progress of that storm. See you later. Thanks.